I wanted to ask you a question because I know you also started working with Zool Kitchens on the Ghost Kitchen space prior to all this. Can you talk about, and that's in New York City, can you talk about this new line of revenue channel? Because we've just been seeing so many brands in the middle of all this just jumping on to this, this type of, delivery only model to expand their footprint and just get more money coming in since their dining rooms are closed.
Yeah, so for us, we've been testing a number of things and a number of types of capacity. Is one of them, Zool Kitchens in New York. And for us, we're very focused on, like I said, delivery and native delivery. Right now, Ghost Kitchens is still a test for us. So, we're excited to have that as a learning opportunity. It's not something we're not opening a huge number of them this year. It still remains something we're testing and understanding how we need that capacity separately versus built into our existing restaurants.
But generally, can you talk about what it is that you're looking for in the test? I mean, are you looking to, and how are things going with Zool? I mean, does everything come in? Um, do they have their own app, or is it just, does somebody, the consumer, not know in New York City when they're ordering from you that the food is actually being prepared in that sort of ghost kitchen space?
So the Zool Kitchen space for us and the Ghost Kitchen spaces for us just act just like any other Sweetgreen kitchen. So it's our team members, our food, our prep, our app, and our experience. So it's meant to be agnostic to the customer. They don't know if it's coming from the Sweetgreen kitchen or that kitchen because it's the same exact product and process. And so for us, we've just been testing, just trying to understand the different business models and understand which one makes more sense to roll out and ultimately would give us more coverage to be able to have a better delivery experience for our customers.
So you're still in sort of the beta testing mode, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And still not sure whether you would expand it. I know there's a lot of other types of ghost kitchens or delivery only models that we've been writing about, like these host kitchens where you would actually almost like licensing agreements. Have you looked into those, and what do you think about that type of experience?
When you mean licensing your food for someone else to operate it?
Right, like we've done some, there's been some new sort of concepts where they're not just really like the Zool Kitchen
Sure.
concept, but where somebody sort of licensed the Sweetgreen brand and they're building it into their like restaurant, like a Ruby Tuesday or something like that.
I would say in general, we are incredibly curious around learning and testing pretty much anything. The one thing that we're very protective of is our food quality and not just how we source it, but how we prepare it. So I'd say that would be something that'd be hard for us to test, and it's not something we're working on immediately. But in general, we're pretty open, to learning as much about all these different models because I do think in a time like this, there's going to be some really exciting disruption and innovation to how food is prepared and ultimately how it reaches customers. So we are very close to all those things.
Yeah, and it just helps expand your reach. And well, that brings me to growth. I mean, what are you guys doing in terms of, did you have a growth plan prior to the pandemic and where you wanted to go next? What markets and where are you opening now?
So pre-COVID, we had really exciting growth plans, and we're starting to accelerate. And so with the pandemic, we decided to briefly pause the new store openings and just ensure that we were opening our restaurants the right way and thinking about how we were impacting the communities and our safety procedures, and just reevaluating almost every part of the growth plan, from not just where or how many, but how we were opening these restaurants. So we took a pause. In June, we started reopening, not just reopening, but also opening new locations. So since June, we've opened 5 new locations
Oh,
in LA, in Chicago, and actually 2 in Denver, which is a new market for us. And so we've started to reopen. We started our new store opening process back up, and we're excited to be opening more this year. And again, with a whole new set of procedures around everything from how we do the punch list to how we open to what how we're training our teams day one on the new safety procedures. But we will add 2 additional markets this year. So we'll be opening in Austin, which is actually happening next week, and then in Miami before the end of the year.
congratulations, that's great. It's probably too late, those were in the works, but do you see designing stores differently? I mean, what kind of lasting effects do you think the pandemic will have, and is that going to change the way you think about how you design your stores? I know we were on a conference call yesterday with the Noodles and Company, and they were talking about building smaller format stores and stores with car lanes. Shake Shack has talked about it. Have you guys been thinking about that?
Yes, and those are all things we were talking about pre-pandemic, so it's kind of just accelerated some of that. So,
Yeah.
part of our acceleration and growth plan for not just this year and next year is a lot of format work. So thinking about new formats and new experiences that allow us to open more places and reach more customers. Ultimately, I think it has changed how we think about even the small details in how we build our restaurants. So thinking about not just back of house team member experience and safety procedures, but thinking about front of house experience and queuing and customer journey, courier journey, how we want people to move through our space or not even come into the space and pick up outside. And so it's there's all these nuances and larger ways that it's affected how we think about building our restaurants and ultimately building the experience. So that evolution has just been accelerated by COVID for us.
Yeah, for sure.